So I wanna talk about my experience in Early Morning Seminary in Mormonism. So in this church, what they do is that when you hit ninth grade, basically, so from ninth to 12th grade, so all of high school, they expect you to get up at like 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m., go to an hour class, and I may be wrong, but it might be an hour and a half in some places, which is even crazier. Um, I remember it being an hour, but we had to get up and go to this class. And when I was younger, so like maybe between ages 5 and 10, I would usually try to get up by 7 because I would there were like shows on in the morning, and usually they were PBS shows. I still remember like watching Sesame Street and some other stuff. So I would get up, and I had the routine down. I would get up, watch TV, eat some kind of breakfast, walk outside, and because we lived in the country, I had to walk a little bit of ways to the bus stop. Wait for the bus at about between 7:30 and 7:40, and then it drove us to school. And then school would start about 8 o'clock. Um, so we went. I was never a morning person, and when I was suddenly expected to do seminary in ninth grade, all the way up to this point, I had this routine, like I said, for years. And so I'm not getting up until like 7, right? And so suddenly I was expected to get up between like 5 or 5:30 a.m. And my parents, it was almost every time my dad, he would have to drive me to the church meeting house, and I would have to be there for an hour, and then I would always have to and then be brought back to school by somebody else. Um, but since I wasn't a morning person, this was awful. This was awful getting up, and so it was just not enjoyable. And the only things I remember about the class, because it was very forgettable. Like, we had lessons, and there were a few things a few stories maybe I'll tell later. But there was like one girl that we I kind of liked, but like and I actually ended up dating her later. And there was, well, actually no, there were two other girls too I ended up dating. But anyways, the whole thing is you're supposed to get up. You're there for an hour, and then you end up having to go to normal class. And I remember we telling people at school, at the public school, about what I had to do, and a lot of them were like, "Well, that's I couldn't do that at all." And I'm like, "I know, I can barely do it myself, and I just I'm not sure what to do about it because like my parents were requiring me to do it, and at least that's how I felt." But it definitely negatively affected me. The overall effect was negative. I was so sleep deprived. I remember I had trouble because of it from like ninth to 11th grade. My grades suffered because of it. I was just tired a lot. And it's amazing because like sleep deprivation, if you look up sleep deprivation, it affects you in a lot of ways. Counterintuitively to the whole thing is that it actually prevents you from learning. So like you have difficulty learning new tasks if you're sleep deprived, which the whole concept seems just completely self-defeating to me, because you're going there to learn something, but you're having to get up so early. And the thing is, if I didn't get to sleep soon enough the night before, which started to happen more and more often, I remember, I got even less sleep. And there were definitely a few days where I couldn't get up. I just couldn't get up. It was impossible. There was at least like 5 days one year, I remember. Because if you miss the days, they force you to redo them even after school's over. So I had to go for like 5 days, basically doing like seminary classes. It wasn't necessarily early in the morning. I think it was later because it was summer by that time. But I just didn't understand it. But yeah, sleep deprivation hurts everything about you. It hurts your memory. Um, I remember watching somewhere that like they did experiments where they gave people like little tests, and then when they sleep deprived them, they found that if they didn't get enough sleep, that when they were doing the test the next day, they had awful trouble doing it. But if they got enough sleep, they did way better. So sleep is like vital. It is vital to being a human being. And the church has designed itself in such a way to deprive you from something that is inherently human. And I'm probably going to say this multiple times, but the LDS Church expects you to act as if you're not a human. That is what the whole thing is about. And it causes so much damage. And I remember it took me 4 years to finally adapt. And I remember my last year of high school, I finally was getting straight A's again. But that did not happen for 4 years because of early morning seminary. It affected me that badly. Now there are definitely, see, the thing is, it's amazing how easy the church is able to sort of justify this kind of thing, right? Because like, sure, there are other kids, I remember other teenagers who did things early in the morning. Some of them, usually it was like sports or something. They'd have to get up for some reason, to exercise or to do something. But I'm just thinking, like, with me not being a morning person at all, it's just like, wait, you design, like, if this God, Heavenly Father designed this system so that a lot of the people would fail it. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense. So I just did a quick Google search. If you type in like percent of population that's early morning, just guess what the number is. 15%. I want you to take that number in. Only 15% of human beings would consider themselves early morning people, right? And then another like 70% are like your average people, and the other 15 are the ones that are sort of like the night owls, and like they're the ones that have the worst time getting up, right? And I'm just thinking, like, wait, hold on. An all-knowing, all-loving being designed humans so that only 15% are capable of getting up to do classes about his fantastic word, whatever that even is supposed to mean. Because it ain't fantastic if it ain't realistic. 15%, y'all. 15% can do this. It's so personally, it just, but like I said before, it just really, really hurt my grades. I remember, and I did adapt, but it took a long time. And what's even worse is that I remember, kind of backing up for a second, the sleep deprivation of all the things. I remember, or I've heard quite often, that sleep deprivation is comparable to being drunk while you're driving. It actually causes just as many problems as if you're driving drunk. So yeah, if anybody could ever explain to me why an all-knowing, all-loving God creates a system where his followers are designed in such a way that the bulk of them have trouble or inevitably will fail at his own system. And this is the theme all throughout Mormonism. It's all the whole thing's this way. But yeah, if your church, or it's not even a church, if your group, any group, no, any group, it doesn't matter if it's a business or a club or whatever, if your group is encouraging you or trying to convince you or even forcing you into staying up and being sleep deprived just to listen to them or to do things that they want, you might be in a cult. And when I graduated high school and I never had to do early morning seminary again, I'll never do it again. I would never do that again. You couldn't pay me to go back to seminary again. I still remember that they promise you like these blessings. So like they promise you like spiritual blessings, but they also promised me physical blessings. So I kid you not that I was promised that somehow attending early morning seminary was going to help me academically if I continued to go to like college. Of course, specifically they to try to get you to go to BYU, which is the flagship Mormon college, but any college really. But they also kind of like try to convince you that you're going to get blessed to get a job and other things, you know. Well, here I am. I'm 2 degrees in. I have 2 college degrees over a period of attending class for, I don't know, like 15 years in total. Like, it's been a while. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on that promised job. Because I was in the church up until, not too long ago. Still waiting for any of it to happen. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever agree that sleep deprivation is ever a good thing, nor are you gonna get some kind of strange promise to blessing out of it. So like, subscribe, comment, and go fund me.